How's it going, folks? I'm Des with DesFit, and this is the new Google Pixel Watch, Google's first actual smartwatch all their own, and in terms of delivering on everything that they claim it can do, it actually does a pretty darn good job, especially in regards to the fitness functionality with all those Fitbit features built right in. Now, although they did build a good smartwatch and activity tracker, they also chose to put a lot of those good things in kind of an interesting package, and it's a very good first try, and it will work for some, but it's not necessarily going to be for everyone. So in this video, we'll be going over everything that the Pixel Watch has to offer in terms of smartwatch features, how it really fares for battery life, and just like all my reviews, I'll be diving pretty deep into the health, fitness, and sports side of things, just so you can get a good idea if this device is going to be right for you. And if the information in this video does help you out at all, don't be shy about hitting that like button down below. So in terms of the actual hardware itself, Google chose a classic and subtle look for the Pixel Watch where it's basically like this smooth little pebble on your wrist, and I think it actually looks pretty darn good. It may not look like it at first glance, but it's actually a very nice piece of hardware from a build quality standpoint where the display that's protected by Gorilla Glass 5 blends together really nicely into the stainless steel case. And there's also nice little polished accents on the back of the watch as well as the rotating crown. It just feels nice and solid without being overly heavy, and it's very much more on the premium end of things when it comes to the construction. Using the Pixel Watch is also a good experience with Wear OS 3, where navigating around the device is fast and intuitive with the touchscreen along with the digital crown that serves double duty for accessing all your apps, and you can also use it to scroll through long menus. And then they also have a secondary button above the crown which can access recently used apps. And in terms of performance, everything is super fast and snappy where you can fly through the interface, and I noticed little to no delay at all. The smartwatch experience is also quite good here too, where they have nice alert tones and haptic vibrations for both texts and calls. And then you can also answer calls from the watch itself using its built-in microphone and speaker if you have your phone in range, or if you have an LTE version of the Pixel Watch. And then in addition, it also has Google Assistant as well as Google Pay for contactless payments. And overall, it's a really well-designed smartwatch experience from that standpoint where it feels nice and polished. And since it does run Wear OS 3, you can download tons of different apps from the Google Play Store, including apps like Strava as well as Spotify for offline music playback. And it also does have YouTube music already pre-installed. But one really important thing to note with the Pixel Watch though is that it's only compatible with Android phones, so there isn't iPhone support like there is for the Fitbit Sense 2 or Versa 4. The display is also fantastic in the sense that it's really bright, it has tons of contrast, and it looks great, even outside, but of course it is on the small side. There is also somewhat of a large bezel surrounding the display though, but it's only if you look really closely. So Google has done a very good job at designing the interface to hide the edge of the bezel quite a bit, where the interface basically blends into it, like even the flashlight doesn't have hard edges. But is that bezel actually a concern? Honestly, it really didn't bother me at all. I think it's fine, and it was never something that actually stood out to me when I was using the watch over the last month or so. So the experience is great and all using the device, but the biggest issue is that it only comes in one size, and it's a rather small size, which absolutely will be great for all of you out there with smaller wrists, but for those of us with larger wrists, it may look a little bit out of place. They do include both a short watch band as well as a large watch band, and I ended up using the large watch band, which still has plenty of room to spare if you have wrists larger than mine, but even with my 185mm circumference wrist, the 41mm Pixel Watch doesn't quite fit the bill, or the Des. And while we're talking about the watch straps, they're soft, they have a little bit stretch to them, and they're nice and comfortable. However, the mechanism for taking these watch straps on and off, quite simply, it's a little bit weird. So I can actually get these on and off without any problem after a few tries. It's not bad once you get the hang of it, but at the same time, this mechanism kind of doesn't make much sense. So they have this little button right here on the case to release the strap, and then you need to rotate the strap to get it off. Cool. But if your finger's on this button, I think most of us would think that we need to rotate the strap away from the button since our finger is actually on the button. Nope, you actually have to rotate the straps towards your finger, which is kind of mind-boggling. I mean, I get the idea and all, and I do very much like how it creates a seamless look where the watch strap just blends right into the case, but it does also seem like somebody kind of accidentally flipped the sketch for this design around in regards to the button placement. Oh, and then by the way, getting the strap back on isn't super awesome either, where you have to get just the right angle to get it to snap into place. Anyways, for those of you who do have this first gen Pixel Watch or are planning on getting one, I would have to guess that this watch strap design is going to get reworked in the future, so I'd think hard about those additional watch strap purchases, as I'm doubting that they'll continue on with this design, or at least they probably shouldn't. And then next, let's talk about battery life. So they rate it right around 24 hours, and I'd say for the most part, that's about right, where I was getting anywhere from like 20 to 26 hours out of it, depending on how many outdoor activities I tracked. It's certainly not the battery life that you can get out of a more sports-focused watch like a Garmin, but it's very much comparable to what you can get out of an Apple Watch. What surprised me though was the battery life for recording outdoor activities, where it was using about 6% per hour, which means that you could in theory record up to about a 16-hour long outdoor activity. That's not bad at all. In terms of the sensors that it has for tracking all your health and activities, the Pixel Pixel Watch comes with a heart rate sensor that Google says is supposed to be super accurate. More details on that here in just one bit, but it also can measure your blood oxygen saturation levels, or SpO2. It also has ECG. It has built-in GPS for tracking outdoor activities without having to bring your phone with you, and then it also has a barometric altimeter. Now, a big feature with the Pixel Watch, though, is that it has Fitbit functionality built right in. So you can benefit from both the smartwatch features of Wear OS 3, but it also has all the health and fitness tracking from Fitbit. And it truly is built right in and not an afterthought, where even on the watch face, there's little widgets or complications where you can access all your Fitbit stats like your steps, your floors climbed, distance covered for the day, calories burned, active zone minutes, your exercise streak for the week, hourly activity, current heart rate, resting heart rate, as well as your sleep from the night before. And then you also have dedicated tiles too for Fitbit stats and functions like exercise shortcuts, your last workouts, steps for the day, as well as your sleep stats. And then you can access even more details about all your health stats in the Fitbit app. And that's another important thing to note here too, is that you'll have both the Fitbit app where you're going to have all your health and activity data, but then you're also going to have the Google Watch app that manages the watch itself in terms of watch faces, tiles, and settings. The Fitbit app is great, by the way, in terms of how it's laid out, where they do a good job in presenting all your data in a pretty easy and understand way. So on top here, they have probably the most important stats like your active zone minutes, which is basically how many minutes you've spent in higher heart rate zones during activities, your steps for the day, floors climbed, distance covered throughout the day, as well as calories burned. And then below that, you can dive into your stress scores, your sleep scores, readiness scores, exercise history, and a bunch more. Now, there are some features though that do require a Fitbit Premium membership, and that's mainly your daily readiness score, longer-term historical health data beyond just 1 week, as well as some access to some additional workouts. The nice thing is though, is that the Pixel Watch does come with 6 free months of Fitbit Premium, and then after that, it runs $10 a month, or you can get an entire year of Fitbit Premium for, I think, around $80. So a substantial discount if you sign up for an entire year. The question is, of course, do you really need Fitbit Premium? Well, while the features that you get with Fitbit Premium are nice and all, honestly, the Pixel Watch still does a lot without it. So if you're just looking for features such as tracking your steps, calories, workouts, and sleep, you may be able to just go without it, and you still get all those great smartwatch features. If you want your daily readiness score, a more detailed breakdown of your sleep score, historical health trends for 90 days versus 1 week, and some other features, then sure, go for it. But it could be worth giving a shot without Fitbit Premium just to see what the experience is like before plunking down any money. The one metric that I do find to be helpful, but I don't necessarily think is required, is the readiness score, where it can provide you with an easy to understand number that represents how ready you are for a workout on a particular day, and this is based on your workout history as well as your recovery, including factors like sleep. But even without that readiness score, the Pixel Watch actually still does provide quite a bit of information, even including your heart rate variability, or HRV, which can be a very good metric indicating how well your body's recovered. And then in terms of what kinds of activities that you can track with the Pixel Watch, there's just a ton to choose from, including gym-based activities, outdoor activities like running and biking, pool swimming, there's golf, indoor climbing and bouldering, stand-up paddleboarding, skiing and snowboarding, really quite a bit to choose from. And then for tracking outdoor activities, the Pixel Watch has built-in GPS, so you'll be able to go for a run or bike ride and track your speed and distance without having to bring your phone along with you. And this is both on the regular version as well as the LTE version of the Pixel Watch. And then in terms of how accurate it was for tracking all those outdoor activities, it does a really good job here, where the total distances were always very close to the other devices I was using as references. Like on this run, it was nearly identical. And then here's another example of a longer road bike ride where, again, things were very close to the other devices. And I also wanted to point out that it did a good job in tracking the elevation gain on this ride too with the barometric altimeter. We should also take a look at the finer detail of the GPS tracks, and these were pretty good here too. So this was that run that we saw earlier, and I have the Pixel Watch in orange, by the way, and as you can see, it did a very good job lining up with the map as well as the other devices. And then for that road bike ride, pretty good here too, but we do see that on some of these curves and corners, it sort of cut some of these corners and overshot a few of them here and there. Nothing crazy by any means, but just not quite as accurate as the other devices, but in the whole scheme of things, no big misses or anything like that. And then for heart rate accuracy, here's an indoor bike ride where I was doing some intervals, and for the most part, a pretty good job out of the Pixel Watch. However, we do see some spots where the heart rate dipped a little bit, like the start of these intervals here, but the good thing is that it actually recovered and it got back on track. There's a bit of shakiness right here during this steady state section, but overall a pretty good result for indoor cycling. For running, on the majority of this run, it was pretty good, but there were a handful of spots where it read a bit high. Again, just like the indoor bike ride, nothing drastically off, but we do see it wander a bit from time to time. Now, for one of the hardest activities for a wrist-based optical heart rate sensor to track accurately, that's going to be weight training, and this is where there's constant gripping onto the dumbbells, as well as a lot of varying arm movement that these kinds of sensors just don't like. And we see that the Pixel Watch did have some challenges here with those bicep curls at the beginning, but it was actually pretty good for these tricep extensions here. It did have a rather large spike on these hammer curls, but then did a pretty good job with the high intensity intervals at the end. So overall, I'd say that the Pixel Watch has a pretty decent heart rate sensor where it's not the most accurate out there, but it's certainly usable. And by the way, it's much more accurate than the Fitbit Sense 2. So the Google Pixel Watch, although just coming in at one size and a somewhat small size at that, it actually is a pretty capable smartwatch and activity tracker. There are definitely some first-gen quirks such as the diminutive size, the way the watch bands attach, and one also could argue that the bezel is a little bit large and the battery life could be better. But if you have a smaller wrist and want the best Android smartwatch out there, at least currently with some pretty good fitness capabilities, this is certainly worth a look. But if you can wait, I'm almost certain that the next gen is going to be even better, and I would guess probably bigger too, where they definitely need to have a larger size option for those of us with larger wrists. Anyhow, those are just my thoughts on the new Google Pixel Watch, but I also want to hear about what you think, so definitely make sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. And on your way down there, if you found the information in this video useful, do me a favor, just quickly hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel for plenty more videos that are coming soon. In the meantime, have fun out there, and we will see you in the next video.